Hello YouTube, so today we're going to do part 2. This one's for more advanced users. It's about the transition. If you don't know what that is, fundamentally the transition is like a transition from ramp 3 to main, and a ton of tricks use this. It is the most important technique on xDream. It takes hundreds of hours to master it, but if you have mastered it, you're probably one of the greatest xDream players. So anyway, without further ado, let's get started. So you want to turn smoothly into the river. I use yaw speed 100 for this. And then you also want to aim for the very edge of the river, the forward part. The reason for this is you'll have more speed, you'll have more height, so you can do a slower turn and a smoother turn into ramp 3. If you look here, we can actually make it all the way to JLTally platform if we land at the edge of the river. We have 3,600 units and we have a lot of height. And this is going to make us basically be able to catch ramp 3 with more speed, because we can turn into it smoother and we can get a better angle of entry too. So now if we look at like a slower river, aka further back, so we don't have that height anymore, we can't even get close to JLTally platform water, and we only have 3,400 units out of the river, as opposed to the 3,600 we had previously. This does make a very massive difference, because for a trick like Heaven, for example, the difference between edging the trick and doing the trick is huge, and like every little bit of speed counts. So we'll go back again and we'll do another entry, get a good 3,600. Yeah, see, here we go. And then we'll smoothly turn. You want to do the first part of the turn quick, and then the second part of the turn smooth. You want to make yourself sort of adjacent to the actual border of the map, which takes a bit of practice to get used to, but it helps a lot when you want to enter ramp 3 from that very bottom back corner. So now we're on ramp 3. Ideally, you want to land it with a good angle of entry at the very back bottom, and you want to surf up to the middle of the first and the second wedge in the ramp. The reason why you want to leave so early, and the earlier the better, if you can do before that, then that's better, is because you're already at maxvel. So if you surf down ramp 3, all you're achieving is you're making yourself you're going to have to spend more velocity to rise up to main the further down you are, right? Because surfing the ramp doesn't give you any more velocity, so you're just adding distance. So if you can leave early, I would recommend practicing by starting in between the first and second wedge. Then that's better. Now, a perfect transition from here will be catching the ramp like as close to the booster as possible. You pretty much want to leave 1 or 2 units maximum between you and the booster, and you don't want to have any extra height than you need to catch the ramp at all. Because remember, when you're gaining height here, you're losing speed. You want to just spend enough to make it to that ramp and catch it smoothly. So for the ascension of main, you want to partially ramp strafe this. You don't have to, but you can. And you want to dip low into the ascension. You want to make sure you dip as low as you can into the ascension and then slowly flick up to the peak of the ramp. Hitting the top of the ramp is important. Dipping low in the ascension is important. And doing it all smoothly is important. That is the transition. We're going to quickly go over it again, just sort of reverse back through it real quick. So if you can do all of this, then that's really you're one of the best xDream players. This is probably the most important technique. There's others obviously, but for the most part this is it. And so here we go. We're starting at the very tip of the ramp. See how far up we're leaving, and we're not flicking off of it. We're still having some horizontal speed because Skypull is actually still pretty far away. Now we're dipping low into the ascension of main. The flick up to the peak of the ramp is very smooth, and we're dipping low after the ramp strafe into the ascension of main. Basically to keep as many units as possible. See that little ramp strafe? That was a 1 key ramp strafe, but you can actually ramp strafe it too. This might even be a bit too high. Catching the ramp just after the booster, I actually probably still had a few units to spare there in terms of height, so you can even do that faster. And we're leaving ramp 3 between the first and the second wedge. You can do this further back if you can, but for the most part just do it between there. When we're turning into ramp 3, we're almost adjacent to the world border. This takes practice to gauge, but you do get pretty consistent with it. This lets you get a better angle to enter the back corner of ramp 3 like that. And we're basically smoothly turning directly after hitting the edge of the river you want to be turning pretty much as you hit the river. You don't want to leave your turn till after you exited the river. You basically want to be turning as soon as you can. So that is the Fabled transition guide, I guess. We'll just pull it all together and run it back real quick in one to see how it goes. You know, if you can do all of this, then good for you. It's a lot of fun. It seems very hard at first, but you do get pretty perfect at it. This is for maximum velocity transitions, I should mention. There are tricks like ATS tricks that don't have maximum velocity transitions, and you do want to ride more of ramp 3 for those. The fundamental concepts stay the same, but you also, if there's speed to be gained from riding ramp 3, then you want to do that. You know what I mean? It's pretty self-explanatory. I'm sure you can figure it out. But yeah, that's it for the most part. If you want to watch some ATS tricks to get a good gauge of like how that sort of works, you can do that. Winter has a good video. I'll put a link in the description for Winter's video about that. But yeah, that's about it.